my fellow Otsutsuki brethren. It's quite a wonderful day, and I hope everyone is doing quite well, either it be evening or day or early morning, judging by your time zone and judging by the date of your country. I would likely to humbly apologize for my misjudgment of my obscured obscured absence, which clearly has no indefinite meaning behind it, which I humbly apologize towards that. And well, necessarily, I don't right now that I don't remember how long I've been out for, but hopefully you will be able to understand that I was just, you could say, lazy. And we're here with another story for today. But before we begin off the story, I would like to say that thank you very much for those who take the patient time to actually sit down, and also those who do. Well, let me finish first. To those who actually sit down and listen to me babbling and choking over my own words, which I have no judgment and no restriction over. So, today, like I usually say, if you are blind, get someone to read the title to you, but this, as we always know, that shall always read it out to you. Today we have What If Izuku Was Born? So, we start off with baby Izuku being born. He would have looked exactly like his siblings and his dad, who had white hair, while the differentiating difference is that he took his mother's emerald green hair, as everyone instantly created a facultational bond with him, especially Himio, his only brother, the youngest triplet, but still 3 years older than Izuku. As the nurse would have taken Izuku to clean up, while cleaning him up they would have noticed a fox tattoo similar to what every male Midoriya would have had, only when they gained it when the quirk awakened. As after cleaning him up, they would have taken him back to his parents in the emergency room, where Inko was being praised and worshipped by Himio for finally giving him a younger sibling, but not just any younger sibling at that, a male sibling. Sorry. As Hisashi would have say, what do you guys think your younger brother would have awakened a quirk or either our family's magic? As as the discussion would have ended with 2 to 1, all the females would have said that he would have either awakened the mother's telekinesis quirk or the father's regeneration quirk, while the only son would have said that he would inherit the grandfather's latent ability. As the doctor would have walked in as Inko would try to get up but would fall back onto the bed as Izuku would open his eyes and begin crying. As everyone in the room except the Midoriyas would have fallen down to their knees, as Izashi, who knew exactly what was going on, would begin to well up tears into his eyes, as he would have taken Izuku from the hand of the weakened doctor and tell him to calm down, kiddo. You're still in the energy of everyone around you. As Inko would have taken Jesus Christ, I need to stop saying as Inko would have taken him from Hisashi and started singing, as Midoriya would stop crying, as she'd start feeling a huge flow of energy coursing throughout her body, as she would begin to walk and say thank you, Bob. Years would pass as the bond between the family would have grown stronger, as today Izuku turned 8. He would have finally been taken on his first fossil preservation and reconstruct expedition, although he had been taken on many fossil recoveries and many other expeditions. On the expedition site, Midoriya would wander off into a cave known as the King's Tomb. As a few moments later he would reach a particular stone which said, "Here lies the soul of the fourth fairy king born, aka Undead or Bandit born." As Midoriya, who was currently shocked and terrified, would continue reading, after centuries of being an immortal just to bring back a woman he called his lover after spending a mere week with her, back to the world of the living, by sacrificing his own immortality, would then go on to having a family of 3 that would, oh God, that would continue throughout the generations during the present time of Quirk Awakenings, and now known as the Midoriyas. As a fox symbol similar to what he has, but the differentiation in that was a moon was a moon imprinted onto the tail, began to glow as the tattoo began to glow on Midoriya, on Izuku, and began to burn. As the moon was now imprinted onto his tattoo, everyone else's tattoo began to subconsciously glow as well, but not gaining the moon. After that, the wall would have collapsed, revealing two bodies, of one a female and one a male, who, from reading the tombstone, he immediately knew who they were, as a mythical-like spiritual misted fox would have appeared with something in its mouth as Midoriya would pick it up, as it was a four-sected bow staff, as he would hear his family call out to him, "Born, it is time to take leave," as he would place his staff inside of a park he had on his side, as he would head out the cave. When he got out, he would run to the expedition plane as they would... Sorry about that. As he would run to the expedition plane as they would get fuck as they'd head out. A few hours later, as they would arrive to the Midoriya's Enterprise Fossilization Center, as someone would come up to them and say, "My lady Inko, you have a scheduled meeting with the press around 30 minutes, so I suggest that we would hurry up after we are already late." As Inko would have hurried on inside with the lady, as Hisashi would then take his leave to enter inside of the facility. As two unexpected visitors, which he clearly wasn't expecting to arrive this early, he thought to himself, as the one woman and a short mouse-like creature would walk up to him as he would say, "Oh, President Redfield, what are you doing here so soon? This is quite the unexpectation." As the president would say, "Please forgive us for our seemingly intrusion of an unexpected visit, but old friend Bert, someone would like to give such a extricating proposition as Nezu, who would come to introduce himself as Hisashi." As Nezu would then come up to him and introduce himself. Nezu, after the introduction of Nezu, Hisashi would ask to Hisashi would ask to bring them in towards his office, as they would take the seat, as Nezu would say, "Okay, so my main proposal is that I would love to make, as I have come to know, that the Midoriyas are the evolutions of, or the pre-evolutions of quirks into which, in order for you guys to keep such a secret, y'all have begun integrating quirks into your family, which caused y'all to lose the inability to access this pre-evolution that y'all once had. Y'all have lost this pre-evolutional ability, but there are instinctively a few in your family who are capable of getting close to that ability." As Hisashi would say, "Exactly how do you know that? And how much of that information do you know?" As Nezu would respond, "Roughly for 4 I have known such information for roughly 4 years, and as to how much I have known, that's quite all. Usually, when I was experimenting on, usually the scientists would have naturally spoken of your family as they were into examining your family, and that is why I would like to ask for, on behalf of the government of the Hero Society and your family's Ecological Preservation Society, to body up in terms of school scheme study when it comes to heroes. So basically, you want us to use our family's faculty in order to train for future heroes, the same as the unforeseen simulation joint, right?" As Nezu would respond, "Well, yes, exactly." As Ban, who was the one who said that, looked at into the eyes of his father as he would slowly pull out his four-sected staff, as both Nezu and the president who noticed this would begin to mold, seemingly revealing people who sorry, seemingly revealed two people. One was a blonde female and one had a black mask, and he spoke in such of a biased tone, you may say, as they would head to the window as the door was blocked, and they would jump out as they would begin heading to the front gate. As Hisashi would say, "Ban, can you close the front gate from here without locking down the entire building?" As he would say, "I could try." as his okay, his Ashi would have responded as he would begin to slim up a bit as seemingly his upper torso would have begun to gotten smaller. As you jump, a suspended shockwave would be left behind as would then prepare prepare his energy into core shells as he would then go on to using vanishing the technique known as vanishing tail. Whilst doing that, he injured both of the imposters as well, slowing them down, as well as forcefully activating a sensor which was at the front gates, forcefully closing it. As Hisashi would have then landed onto the two imposters as the man would have then said, "Wait, not quite yet, Kurogiri." As Hisashi's biceps would then have grown 5 times larger than it already was. As Kurogiri As he would say, "Kurogiri, what are you waiting for? Help us, goddammit." As a purple portal would open underneath, engulfing them, and in the process engulfing Hisashi's legs. As the portal would have closed, completely ripping off Hisashi's lower torso, as Ban, Himio, and Iyumi would have come to the half of the dad which had remained. As he would say, "What did he take?" As Himio would have said, "What they took was a fossil reconstruct serum." As Hisashi would ask, "Which one?" As it looks like it was a Titan Democuli fossil. Now that just comes up to the fucking fuck of my head because, well, in the Seven Deadly Sins world, they were exotic beasts, so why the fuck not? Please don't hit me. Please don't get Reddit going, yeah? Yes, please. Please, please, please go on with it. As Isashi would have said, that one was the oldest serum that we had. But oh well. Could you guys help me? As Himio and Ban would look at each other and give Iyumi a doll-like expression as she would go on to use her telekinesis to pick him up, as she would then scowl at Ban and Himio and say that "I hate the two of you," as they would head inside. As we cut with the two imposters as the portal in a bar would then open up, as Toga and Twice would hop out as Shigaraki would say, "So," as Toga and as Toga said that we were caught the instant we entered there, but we got what the doctor asked for. As but we only got a little bit, as the doctor would then hop out of the shaded area and grab the serum from Toga and shake it and say, "Quite fascinating." As a computer would come on as from the outer section of the computer, would someone else say, how long will it take to mass cultivate such product? As he would say, "Definitely more than 8 years or so if I had to give a rough estimation, sir." As One for All, as we all know it, would say, "Perfect. Cut off all normal activity and begin processing the serum right away." As the doctor would take his leave, as 8 years would have passed. During those 8 years, the league would have recruited more people, such as, well, they would have begun the alliance with Chisaki and the Metal Liberation Army. I don't know much about the Metal Liberation Army besides in the manga they're part of the war arc. That's all I know. And lots of people, and they would have expanded and become well known and feared as today as the day of the USJ. Everyone was on the bus getting everyone who was on the bus was getting to know each other, as they would have arrived as 13 would give the speech. As after the speech the attack began. With the portals opening, villains walked out with 20 normals behind them, as Aizawa, well, 20 fought to be normals, as Aizawa would begin the assault as he used his quirk erasing the quirks of the villains and the normals, but as to his fort. But he only delayed them slightly as one of the normals with a gravity quirk would lay Aizawa down with huge force, as one with a humidity slash heat quirk would then dry up the moisture around Aizawa, including his eyes, causing dysfunctionality in his quirk as the normal would come to attack Iyumi and Uraraka, as Iyumi would use her telekinesis quirk to hold the fist of the normal as Uraraka would touch it, making it float. But as that happened, the normal with the gravity quirk would then make the other one, which was currently floating, much more heavier, causing a huge, much more forcible impact, disconnecting the connection between Yumi and the normal, as the normal would then recharge back at them, as all of a sudden it would have dropped to the ground, as both Barn and Yumi, who seemingly just arrived, as no one who would have thought they would have come, except Yumi, as they would both ask Yumi and Uraka, "Are you okay?" As both of them responded yes. As Himio would look for 13 as he would spot her trying to block off Kurogiri from separating the kids, as he would pull out a bow, not loaded, but pull back the string as if it was loaded. As he would then chant out something and then say black hole. As the ti- as a tipped as a black tipped arrow seemingly looked with the shape of a hole would be then launched towards Kurogiri. As when the as it was fired, a black hole seemingly builded up, as it would then suck in part of Kurogiri and it would have freed 13. As 13 would have said thank you to him, and him and Ban would go on to killing all the Nomu and the villains, like in canon, except the fact that they almost killed Kurogiri and Shigaraki, but All For One had to intercept and protect them. All For One had to intercept, revealing himself much earlier, much earlier. All Might never made it. All For One teleported out of there. The only, well, seemingly the only casualty they had was, well, the only casualty they had was Aizawa, even with his dried eyes. And that is where we are going to end it. I really hope that you humbly appreciate my apologies to my absence, and I'd like to thank you guys for almost getting me to at least 20 subscribers, which I honestly appreciate it. Honestly, I look back at most of my videos and I cringe at, well, all my videos, and I cringe at them very hard. So, either way, it is I, Shinra Yuki Otsutsuki, the Godly One, and I am out. Bye.